Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship his holy name.
Usually services that I take each week are either communion services or all-age worship. So to have a service where neither of those are part of the worship enables us sometimes to do something different. And in thinking this morning about Thomas and about his doubts, I felt it'd be really good to hear somebody's story of their faith journey. And actually sometimes it's when we hear other people's story that it helps us to come to a point in our own life of faith or having something that we might have struggled with actually resolved for us. So this morning I've asked John and Elaine came to the Triangle a few years ago now, and I've asked John to share part of his testimony with us this morning. So thank you, John, and over to you.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John, and that's the name I've been known by since birth. But it isn't my first name. My first name is Thomas. And like Jesus' disciple, I was a doubter. Now, I went to church from a very early age, and I was christened and confirmed in the Church of England. I believed in God, in Jesus, but in my late teens, I started to have doubts about my faith. Did God really exist? Was Jesus who he said he was? Was there such a thing as the Immaculate Conception? I stopped going to church. In 1971, a friend of mine invited me to an evening service at the Bolton Pentecostal Church, which at the time was on Bridge Street in Bolton, roughly where the Holiday Inn is now. And I accepted the invitation because there were two faith healers taking part in the service, and I was curious. Now, on the way to the service, I started to get a toothache. Now, it wasn't too bad at first, but by the time the service started, it was turning into a real headbanger. Now, when it came to the point in the service when the healers were asking for volunteers to go on the platform for healing, my friend started to encourage me to go up. And at first, I refused. But then he persuaded me to go up. Now, there were 4 chairs on the platform, and I sat in the last one. And the healers came to each one in turn. And when it was my turn, one of the healers stood at the back of me and placed his hands on my head. The other stood in front of me and asked what my ailment was. And when I told him that I had this terrible toothache, he cut my jaw, asked my name, then asked the congregation to pray. As everyone was praying, including me, I felt this warmth from the top of my head, and it went straight down to the tip of my toes, and the toothache had gone. And I said to myself then, if this is God's love, you can count me in. And I asked Jesus that night to come into my life. And you know, just because we come to church every Sunday and do good works through the week doesn't make us a Christian. We could sit in the garage all day, but that doesn't make us a car. I believe to be a Christian, we need to ask Jesus into our lives. He is knocking on the door of our hearts, and we have to open that door and invite him in. Thank you.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship his holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name.